Assalamu alaikum. We are live together for another exciting episode of the Retail Reset. I'd like to welcome my fellow speakers, Salman and Faisal, and myself, Hafsah, over here. And thank you for all our viewers for tuning in. Very happy to be here again with all of you. I have been a little, I couldn't make it to the last time, but here I am now. So today, today again, it is evening in Karachi and it is mid morning, let's say, in Canada. And we're happy to, we would like to know where our audience is. It'd be really nice to share in your comments where you are joining us from, which part of the world, because I know that there are many of our viewers from all across the globe that do join in, and which is I will be very, very delighted for that. So, today we're going to talk about something that we have been talking about in the earlier episodes as well, and it is a running or it's a common thread that weaves across the retail reset topics. So, which is product focus instead of customer focus. So, we just to recap, we're talking today about the retail reset, and we talked about that in the reset. If you remember, we have the three pillars: process, portfolio, and people. And in each of these pillars, today we're going to talk about the importance of being customer centric and bringing that to life and why it's important. So, how we're going to structure the hour today is we're going to talk about the importance we've talked a little bit about before, but I think this is a topic which is, let's say, we can talk about it. It's still very, very important and relevant. So, we're going to talk about it, why it's important, and if it's that important, why is it not really happening? And then we will also talk about examples where we have seen this. It's not that no other organization is doing it. There are some organizations who've actually hit the nail on the head and they've got it right, and yet majority are struggling. So without further ado, my I'll just like to open the discussion and leave the question with my speakers, is that, in your opinion, why is this the biggest challenge, if we talk about it in the retail space, is this, that it's the product focus rather than customer focus? Ji Salman, would
I'll,
like
I'll
to.
let I'll let I'll let Faisal have a go at that first,
Okay.
and then
Okay.
and then I'll.
Okay, thank you, Salman and Hafsa. Yes, I mean, absolutely. I think in the preceding sessions that we have had on retail reset, we have been talking about and we have been reiterating about the importance of customer centricity, how it basically relates to the business and how it relates, therefore, to the revenues that come to the bank. Uh, and of course, I mean, the purpose of having products and services is to meet the various needs of a customer. Okay, I mean, he or she can have personal financial needs, and that is why the banks, particularly the retail banks, they try to match their personal financial needs with the products and services, whether they're depository products or loan products, as well as services that they offer. So the it must be understood that we are not undermining the importance of products and services or the way these products and services is being designed. But as we have been saying, that customers and the quality of customer experience that we provide is the at the heart of everything, whether it is the portfolio, whether it is the product, or whether it is the processes. For example, when we were talking about processes, we said that, or we emphasized upon the processes to basically incorporate the customer focus in them, because at the end of the day, you are not making these processes just internally for the heck of making these processes. The ultimate purpose of any process is basically to help the customer achieve his or her objectives in terms of banking. Okay, controls are important, but even controls, I can argue that they are also for the customer's benefit. So, with this sort of preamble, maybe I can give the floor to Salman, but I will be touching upon later on what actually is a customer journey, or and how it is related, to the experience of a customer. I think the most important thing to understand is, and as we used to uh, basically debate in our old ABN AMRO days, years earlier, that the products and services are pretty much standard if you look at the banking industry, the retail banking industry in Pakistan. Okay, so the product and services, they have become pretty much commoditized. Okay, so the main differentiator, the key differentiator, then remains the customer experience. So that is what we are going to talk about today. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's excellent, Faisal. Uh, Thank you for that lovely introduction and encapsulation of the issue that we're discussing today. Um, I would like to look at this and bring to the fore the fact that are we looking at our business from a customer's perspective? So what is customer centricity, right? Customer centricity is understanding what the financial needs of the customers are today and what may be the evolving financial needs of the customer tomorrow, and building products and services um, for those customers um, in a way that they the customer you know the customer sees the benefits of those products to their financial planning and financial well-being, and the experience that the customer gets at the time of being solicited for those products and services, and thereafter the delivery of those products and services is satisfactory, to say the least, and superlative, to create a difference for any organization. So today, when we discuss, are we is the industry, the financial industry, we're talking here about retail banking services and products, or retail financial services, how you know how focused are we in building products and services um, with the customers in mind? Um, how are we engaging with the customers enough through various means, meaningful ways, to get to know about their needs, and are we tweaking, bundling, putting together the product or service for that particular customer or customer segment or types of customers, so that it's meaningful for them. That's one. So product design and product marketing. That's a big thought process that I feel needs to be looked at today. The other thing is that what's when it comes to, I mean, so this is portfolio, if I may. Then, if it comes to um, cross people, but are we actually building our people and asking them the right questions when we talk about delivering products and services to our customers? Um, and I think that a lot of questions are being asked about the volume of product and how much sales has been done, rather than, have you spoken to uh, the right sort of customers, and how many customers has my customer facing staff spoken to? How many needs have we identified? How are we going to go about resolving those needs? These are conversations that I feel need to be had more and more within organizations, rather than uh, how much of X or Y product have we sold. um, I'm not saying that question needs to be doesn't need to be asked. That's a symptom. Eventually, that sales will grow if the process of solicitation is customer centric. And then, simply when we come to things like the design of KPIs, the design of activity, how are these designed? Are they is the KPI telling people who are taking the products forward, and the organizational KPI, is it focused just around product volumes, or are we holding ourselves responsible for the experience of the customer, and are we being rewarded or not if the experience of the customer is not right? So I think all of this needs to be looked at for an organization to be customer centric, and that's, yeah. So that's my point of view, at least to open up.
Okay, thank you. So I think all is not doom and gloom. I'm sure there are some maybe organizations that have got it right. So I just wanted to ask you now, while you were talking, I was thinking, and sadly no banks were coming to mind, that that they wow you as far as the experience is concerned. So I feel that, so I would also like to open it that, in your experience, personal, professional, what would be that industry or organization, if you want to name, is that really that the kind of customer experience you've received and you said, oh my god, wow? So any comes to mind?
Yes. Um, Faisal can have a go first, and then I can. Faisal.
Okay. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to name any particular bank or institution, but I would like to maybe send some indications or signals about a couple of banks which do actually offer the kind of experience, the kind of wow experience that you have alluded to. Those banks are Pakistani banks, and uh, I might not have been a regular customer of their banks, but whenever I've dealt with them, I've always had a very positive, very favorable experience. Whether it is the depositing of fees when my children used to go to school in Karachi, or it is about, let's say, a funds transfer as a walk-in customer. I mean, I was always sort of taken in by the kind of not only the courtesy, but also the knowledge, and I think that's very important uh, when it comes to the people aspect. The knowledge of the staff, of the employees who were working at that time with that bank, and my transactions, even as a walk-in customer, they never got entangled in bureaucratic web, so to speak. And whenever, if at all, the occasional problems or issues that I had, they were resolved within minutes. I'm not exaggerating at all. Whether it was taking an authorization, or whether it was basically submitting some document. I always thought that these people really had empathy. So empathy is absolutely important uh,
Yes.
when we talk about customer experience. And then I would like to say that one more aspect of this was that those branch employees of that bank, after I had consummated my transaction, they would always ask me if I would like to open an account with them.
Mm.
Okay, that's also important. I mean, they've offered me an experience, let's say on a particular day or for a particular transaction, and then they want to translate that kind of experience that I had into business for them. I mean, because they have gauged that some of the products and services that they offer do make sense for me. They meet my, let's say, personal financial goals. They know that I am actually quite pleased. Okay, they can see my body language, or I mean, the feedback that I might have given them on a formal basis. So they actually jump at that opportunity and then try to translate into business, okay, inflow into their bank. So I mean, there are, as I said, only maybe a couple of banks uh, you, who actually have that kind of mindset that I can think of immediately. And I think in our ABN AMRO days, uh, as you know, that customer service and the customer experience was considered to be uh, the gospel, in those days. And we used to talk about very openly that pricing, yes, of course, I mean, it would be a differentiator, but the main differentiator was always the quality of customer service. And we used to compare ourselves with the various banks, who were the main players in the industry at that time. So that was the level of customer centricity that we had in ABN AMRO Bank. So these are some of my observations.
Thank you, Faisal.
Okay. I'm just going to very interesting observation. Sorry, Afza, from our
Najib.
friend Najib, and I thought it's probably a good time to highlight it, and maybe we can talk around this as well. And he says, I think most banks today operate in silos. Each product is blocked off from another, each with its own sales funnel and other processes. This means there is little overlap. Customers who want retail banking talk to one professional, customers who need a mortgage talk to another. If that customer is the same, it means a lot of back and forth and confusion. Instead, banks should break the silos, make sure that their channels can overlap like a universal banker who is qualified to. I think that's a very important point. It's the way banks are designed, by the way, and this is one of I remember one of our conferences in which a particular, I think it was IBM, I'm going to name them. They actually made a presentation to us. This is ABN back in those days, and they made a very interesting observation. They said, you exist in product silos, and therefore you're not as customer centric as you need to be. Your silos should be segment oriented. So
Segment.
you should have a silo for a channel that provides the services to businesses, a channel that provides services to say salaried individuals, etc., whatever profiles that you are segments that you are looking to serve or you serve across your markets. Those are the silos that should be formed. And so those are the verticals, if I may. The horizontals that sit under them and support them should be the products and the services. And the products and service and the silos should talk to products and service people and IT and operations and all of that, and come up with the right sort of product for the product and service and delivery process, etc., for their segment, and take ownership of that, and drive that entire experience by talking to these horizontals. I think that was very interesting, um, and I think that's a design thinking, as we call it today. That's the design thinking that I think organizations seriously need to look at, if they are to improve that experience for the customer. I think to an extent they do it. When I look at retail banking, I see maybe to an extent. For example, they'll banks will have a group of people who are looking at institutional customers, and then the rest just look after all sorts of retail customers. Other than that, there is no other segment ownership, if I may. But I think that's something that organizations really do need to look at. So, good point from Najib. Any other comments on that?
No, I think I agree, because I think uh, all of us, including Najib, and all of our viewers would agree that we are also victim to this, right? So
Yeah.
we get calls from different individuals of the same organization, one asking us that open an account, get a mortgage. The third one calls for a top up. The fourth one calls for an auto loan. The fifth one calls for God knows what, without even knowing what products we already have. Some banks are being a little scientific, so they know that, oh yes, you have three products with us or whatever, so they're getting there. But I think the pace at which banks are approaching customer experience is still very, very slow. So what they are doing right now is, I think they're trying to meet expectations. They have not got that they are not thinking about solving unforeseen, let's say, customer expectations. What could a customer possibly expect or not expect? Because customer delight is not satisfactory. So what Faisal was saying, that I walk into a branch, I expect my my services to be done in a certain manner. If you do that, that is not providing exceptional customer service. I'm sorry. That is
Yeah.
providing what I am here for. That is providing me what I am, why I am transacting or why I'm banking with you. Something over and above that, if you're doing for me, and that you can only do if you really, really put your thought about it. What could be, how can we delight the customer? So I don't think there this question is being asked in organizations, and we're not just banks, in any organization, that yes, this is what we're doing to meet expectations. If we don't do this, we're going to lose our customers. But delight, nobody's talking about the delight, and delight is unexpected. If the organization wows you, but when you're not expecting to be wowed. And I'll give you a very small example, not from the banking sector, but from a restaurant in Karachi. I will not take the name. It was not even the rainy season. So we had gone there with a big group and it started to rain. And suddenly, and in Karachi, it doesn't rain much, Okay, now it does in the rainy seasons, but this is talking a couple of years ago. And within a span of 2 minutes or less than one, there were people handing out umbrellas. Okay, great. However, it gets better. Now the rain had stopped, we'd ordered food and we were going to eat, and it suddenly started pouring quite heavy. And before I knew it, there was somebody standing with an open umbrella on top of all of us with umbrellas. And the minute I turned around and saw, the whole restaurant was filled with people holding umbrella over customers who were sitting there eating till today. And we were
Wow.
like, wow, this is wow. So to me, and
Correct.
I have really talked about this so many times in my customer service workshops and stuff. This is unexpected wow,
Yes.
in a city like Karachi. So to me, I am still looking for that delight and that wow.
Mm.
It is
Yeah.
nothing to do with my transactions at a bank. It has to be something that wows me emotionally over and above something. So I don't think the banks have cracked that code yet. I don't think so.
Right. So, Hafsa, what I'm getting from what you're saying is that providing timely, hassle-free service is baseline, is what I
Yes,
expect. If you don't do
yes,
that, I'm a dissatisfied customer, anyways.
I know.
But what we're really looking at is what are you doing over and above that to make my experience a wow experience. You know, and I think that's where organizations need to start thinking. I would just like to kind of take us to, keep us within portfolio because we've spoken about products and their design, and we've spoken about the silos as well. But if even if you look at portfolios, how should a bank or organizations go about it? I mean, if you look at most banks, the top 20% of the portfolio in most banks, 20 to 25% of the number of customers are the customers who are going to provide business volumes, the revenues. That's the business case for retail banking, if I may. You know, uh, how do you actually engage with these customers? What is the profile of these customers? Most banks have relationship managers dedicated for engaging with these customers, but are they really doing what they need to do? Are they engaging with these customers? Are they building a relationship? Are questions being asked about about how these relationships are being built internally? Is that a day-to-day process, or is that embedded on a day-to-day ask from these people, or are these people just being asked about how much business have you brought in? So uh, the questions, one is the portfolio, uh, is the bank realizing that this portfolio is the big opportunity for them? One. Number two, the banks have put RMs. Are the RMs being asked the question on how are you building relationships to enhance the experience of the customer? The relationship really means getting to know the customer, but also continuously identifying their financial needs and then presenting solutions. And that's a wow as well, because today nobody is coming to me and saying, listen, I'm your RM, and over a period of time getting to know me, and eventually giving me solutions, preempting me even with solutions, because they know what my needs are today and what my emanating needs are. That's not happening. Uh, so towards that portfolio, are the organizations doing enough? And I think that's where the opportunity to grow in multiples is available today for organizations. That's that's probably not being done enough. Number two is the rest of the portfolio, right? And yes, we've got all sorts of BI tools and all sorts of artificial intelligence, etc. And people are doing use cases around next best product, etc. You know, okay, so that's the 80% customer base in which you can apply that tool and reach out to the customer with the next best solution, because probably that customer is not looking at a relationship of that sort that the top 20% are looking at, but they probably will be delighted or with a relevant solution presented to them through an alternative channel. Albeit alternative channels, when they sell, their conversion rates are always low, so that the bank needs to always expect that will happen. But what organizations can do is, how are we engaging with these customers? What's the conversation that a call center person is having with with a customer of that 80% portfolio, to be able to introduce the product in a way that in itself is a wow experience for a customer? So these sorts of things need to be thought through. I guess people need to be trained, people need to be skilled, not just hired and brought in and put on the desk and said, okay, go ahead now, do the job. I think that when you do those sorts of things, it kind of translates into the substandard customer experiences that are. Sorry, long-winded.
No, I think agree. And what I get from your comment, what you talked about before we go to Najib's other question, is that maybe what is missing is the mapping of the customer's life cycle to its current uh,
Oh yes, have we lost Hafsa? Can you see Hafsa?
No, we can't.
So probably. Hmm? Okay, I think we've lost Hafsa, and she'll join back. Probably her internet is playing up. But just another comment, Faisal. Before I put up Najib's comment, anything from your side
Yeah,
on this?
yeah. I think all this discussion that you've had regarding the customer focus and how a portfolio has to be managed so that the customer engagement is also ensured. I think that would really take us to the realm of data science, data analytics, and how the customer journey or journeys. And I think Hafsa was talking about the customer life cycle,
Yes,
how that can be sort of aligned to it. So I
right.
would like to say that if you look at
Era.
the customer experience, and I think initially in the introductory remarks, I did say that I will be talking about the customer experience and the customer journeys, which basically solidify that kind of customer experience. Right. So I would, and if you talk to a data scientist, I mean, they like to have uh, sort of everything neatly compartmentalized into sets of datas. And I think in this case we need to sort of see what kind of journeys are
Yes.
being actually undertaken. I would say that there could be maybe six or seven kinds of customer journeys. You basically, first of all, I think one is the shopping journey. The customer basically needs to have some information before he or she can decide upon the bank of choice and the products and services of choice. So I think when it comes to those kinds of decisions, then we can actually term it as the shopping journey. Okay, so that
Yes.
should be obviously, we want to ensure that it is a very convenient kind of process. The information is accessible and it is understandable. Then, once a customer has actually decided to select you as a bank, uh, okay, for his or her financial needs, then the next step, obviously, logically, is the onboarding journey. How do you open a certain account? Okay, how do you set up an account and things like that? So obviously the customer experience has to be uh, convenient, speedy, hassle free. Okay, uh, and as Hafsa said, that there could be different departments or different functions in a bank divided into front office and back office, which would handle the different dimensions of, let's say, account opening or account documentation. So that's where I mean, again, the element of customer experience is involved. Then thirdly, I would say the payment journey, the payments of the services and the products uh,
Yes.
that the customer makes. So for example, if there are too many errors in the billing, for example, if there is a credit card charge which actually is either erroneous, or the customer does not understand, or it takes time to be resolved, then obviously it will have an unfavorable impact on the customer. Then I would say that the fourth element, or the fourth type of journey, is the transactional journey, whether it is funds transfers, whether it is a credit card transaction, etc. So how smoothly and how error free that is done. So that has to be gauged. Then I'll come to support or the customer service part. Okay, that for example, that could be the tipping point, the moment of truth for a customer. How the customer service rep or the agent is handling the customer in resolving his problems, providing information to him, so on and so forth. Then I would say that the sixth journey is the changes journey. Journey. Obviously, the customer in his personal life also goes through different, let's say, milestones. He might get married, he or she, and then they might get a job, they might relocate, so on and so forth. And then internally also there could be some changes to, let's say, the schedule of charges, changes to, let's say, how you actually determine the reward points. So all those changes, they have to be catered to by the bank in a very, I would say, frictionless manner.
Mhm.
Then, lastly, but not the least, is the exit journey. Okay, the customer might decide, himself, that okay, it is time to now leave the bank for whatever reason, or the bank might also decide to sort of shed that relationship for various reasons. Okay, so now that experience also has to be, I would say, a hassle-free experience for the customer, because if you have a hassle-free exit experience, if you give that experience to the customer, then there are chances. Who knows? I mean, that customer might actually uh, come back to you in the future. So all
Right.
these things, I mean, there are different channels, as Ajib said, that there shouldn't be any siloization of channels. So I think, for example, if there is a call center agent or attendant, he or she should be able to see on the screen that okay, this customer had met the RM, let's say, 2 days ago, and the topic of his conversation or discussion was, let's say, mortgage loan, or the topic of his conversation was, let's say, a problem with a mortgage loan. Okay, so he can look into the system and he should be able to see whether such an issue or query or problem was resolved or not. We should be
Of
able to get
course.
a holistic view. I mean, this is what Najib's question also, I think,
Yeah.
contained, that there is too much siloization. So it's not just
Yes.
siloization of the structure, the organizational structure, but the siloization of data. It is fragmented data. So data should be not be hoarded by one
Yes.
department or two departments. It should be, I mean, available at
Available.
the intersection of different departments.
Yes. Agree. Thanks, Faisal.
Thank you, Faisal. Thank you.
I think that's that's very
I loved,
structured
yes.
way of looking at it. Go ahead. Yeah.
Thank you for the seven journeys.
Yes.
That was a
Yes.
very
And that would
interestingly.
apply, by the way, Hafsa, to your employees. I mean, if you are in,
Yeah.
obviously looking for an HR point of view,
Mm.
then similar journeys would apply to the
Absolutely.
that.
It
Yes.
replicates, right? So the
Right.
customer journey and the employee journey overlaps as well. So thank you. That was very, very interesting. I
Uh,
would like to go back to Salman's
mm,
point of vertical customer segmentation.
mm.
So again, so so when you were talking about it, and I think we've discussed it before as well, it completely makes sense, right? So not to have product verticals, but to have customer centric vertical. So what do you think is stopping? So now, and while you were talking, I was like, thinking about what the possible cuts could be customer segment wise, and it's very exciting. So if it's easy to think about, I as a customer would want a RM who would understand me and my portfolio. And why do you think, and no bank has really delved into that, or is what's holding them back?
Somehow, I think it's more legacy, Hafzad,
Mhm.
how organizations have worked over time, and just maybe taken on practices from the past and applied them to the present. Some have worked, and the ones that have worked, they've just gone on with it. Um, uh, I feel, and obviously, if something's working, people will just continue with it, and that stepping back and analyzing, if something's working well, can we improve it further? Is the question. If you look at today's banking scenario, that focus around around the customer, I feel has been lost, because uh, if I was to ask a branch manager, how many customers do you have in your branch, and say if there are 5,000 customers, and if I was to ask them, okay, now how many customers do you really know and you build business from? Generally, data shows us that they will have approximately 1,000 customers to work with to actually build business, and these customers will have wallet size to be able to present them with more business. But the branch managers will generally tell you, well, 50, 40, 50, 25, 30, 40, 50 is what we work with. So the question arises, why 25, 30, 40, 50, right? It's because the branch manager hasn't, has been, was doing well as an RM, was hired to do the job of a BM because they did well as an RM, wasn't nurtured it effectively on how to run business. So we talk about, what has the bank got, the right sort of processes, the right sort of KPIs, the right sort of activity goals, etc., to be able to bring the new person in that environment and say, hey, listen, we're not talking about 25, 30 customers. We're talking about now you managing a portfolio of 1,000 customers with your 4 or 5 RMs. Each RM must get to know their 100 or 50 customers each. So now you're not working with 50 of your customers with your 4 RMs. Now you're working with 250 customers and engaging with them, getting to know their needs, getting to know their next best product, and uh, soliciting them in a way that they eventually land up buying your products and services. That question, or those sorts of, if I may, KPIs, activity goals, are missing within the organization. And even if you go up from the branch manager to the area manager to the regional manager, and I'm talking about branches because branches are the major distribution points of of products and services in our business. If you go up the chain, uh, all the only question that is being asked is how much current account have you done, how much insurance have you sold, and if there is a product of the month, how much of that has been sold. The question around what are we doing with the 250 customers is not being asked. Neither is it built into the KPI, because nor is it built into the activity goals. Even if it is, it's not being followed up on. So one is to actually build the design of the KPI and the activity goals, the client tagging to RMs, etc., to design that. And number two is then to run the process, which is actually even more important, because you could design things and put it in, but people will not run their businesses with that design. A prime example of that is, all banks in their systems have a CRM somewhere. How many actually banks effectively use CRM to build customer relationships? Um, Nobody's asking that question, because nobody's asking that question or driving it or takes ownership of it or is held responsible for it, if I may. Therefore, people go back to, coming back to your question, people go back to the way they did things that worked for them. So I think that institutional design thinking around how to organize a retail business is critical when you're running this business. And even more important there is how to implement the design that you have thought through. And I'll just close by saying, you know, just because you think you've put in a team to sell premium credit cards to high net worth customers, don't think and design the credit card and put the KPI in, in the in for the people who are selling it. Don't think that those guys are going to actually go to the sort of customers that you are asking them to go to. They will go to the customers that they are more comfortable
Comfortable.
going to. So unless you develop their knowledge base, their experience, their confidence in an effective manner, you'll find that things will fall through the cracks.
Absolutely. And I think, thank you for that. I think that summarizes it very well, that what we're talking about it. So what we've talked really about is that the focus on customer should be in every step, every process, every pillar of the reset. The way the branches are designed, we talked about that earlier as well, that once the customer sets foot into the branch, how does the branch ambiance or the branch setup make him or her feel? Is it easy to get? Is it accessible? Is it easy? How are there people making eye contact with you and smiling at you when you walk into the branch? Or do you have to really look out for people and say, please, I'm a customer, please give me some attention? So that's the first step, right? You walk into the branch. How are you greeted? Are you is it a warm greeting? It's literally somebody, I read somewhere, somebody said, is that make them feel like it's like when we have guests over, treat your customers like your guests. So when we have guests coming over, we what do? We clean the house and we take out our best china and we put the nice tablecloth and we do all out, right? And then what we do is we wear our best clothes, we greet
Yes,
them very nicely, we extend our hospitality to them, we engage with them, we talk to them, and when they leave, we always say it was so great to have you, hope to see you back soon. So
absolutely.
it's a very simple way of again treating our customers just like how we treat our guests.
Yes,
And that's why I previously I just saw somewhere on LinkedIn that one of the banks, without naming them, is again I think getting some inspiration from the hospitality industry, which is, I think, fantastic and great. Because they're seeing the connectivity is that, okay, how do we create that customer experience or the guest experience? So it is, at the end of the day, it is about creating those magic moments. It's not
Yes.
transactions, it is creating that magic moments for your customers, that they say, yes, this is the bank I want to bank with. And the sad thing is that the brick and mortar will not create those magic moments. It's the people who will create those magic moments, and that's why it is so critical. Again, and I say this with deep respect and love, is that it is so critical that we get the right people, not just to provide service, but from the top. The person at the top has to really, really, have this, to have this at the heart of what we are doing. So it comes from the top, and all the way down. So it is these, yes, Adil, thank you. Magic moments are everything, because they're magical, and they take, they're unforgettable, and they're hard, and they're difficult to create, and difficult to replicate. So yes, absolutely. Good to have you with us, Adil.
Um, Go ahead, Hafsa.
No, so I think, I think, this is a topic where we can talk ad nauseum. I think, we have 10 minutes. We'll see if other comments come up. But
Right.
in the end, I'd again ask Faisal and yourself to just share maybe some examples of how banks can get this right, or something. I've talked quite a bit on this.
Okay, I guess Faisal's turn.
Okay. You gave Hafsa, you gave a very interesting example about how you would treat a guest when you are the host. And obviously, I mean, yes, absolutely, you have to treat a guest very courteously, and you have to serve him or her with let's say a meal or with food or whatever. And you have to be careful that if a guest does not like to have spicy food, you won't give him spicy food. Okay.
Absolutely.
So you need to know, you need to empathize with that customer. You need to know what your guest actually likes, and what he or she does not like. But I would like to extrapolate, or maybe pick up the thread from my earlier song and dance about the customer journeys. um, 6 or 7 types of different customer journeys. So those journeys are undertaken. Then what? I mean, obviously, I mean, something is happening, uh, that train is making that customer journey. But what do you do? I mean, do you just watch it, or what? I mean, you have to monitor, you have to gauge the success of each of those journeys. And KPIs, yes, they can be one part of monitoring the success, but I think it's more than that. For example, KPIs could relate to the turnaround time, but that's not enough. You should be looking at let's say indicators, such as, for example, in a call center, why a repeat call has been made. Let's say there was an issue which could have been easily resolved by the call center, but why did the customer had to actually go to a branch physically? Remember when we used to look at the KPI statistics of call centers, some of the indicators were like, "Ji, how high is the call abandonment rate? How much did the customer have to wait for his call to be answered?" And things like that. But it's more than that. You need to look at, why is there a repeat call, and was the issue resolved or not. I mean, so I mean, again, it becomes a game of data. And then you have to see what are the underperforming, or the journeys that have failed, based not only on the KPIs, but there should be some sort of a score, some sort of a customer journey score, which would take into account some of the variables that I've just alluded to. And then thirdly, once that has been seen or monitored, then the remedial action, the corrective action also has to be taken, so that the customer can be put back on the rails, so that he can continue with the customer journey. Now, I really don't think that the banks, in Pakistan are utilizing the power of the data, or they look at the customer experience or the customer journeys in the way that I've just tried to describe. But I think they are being, and they will soon be challenged by these digital banks. I mean, they will be starting as digital natives. They will have the people who can understand data science, and they will be able to engage better with the customers if these banks, these traditional banks, if they don't get their acts together. So, to answer your question, I don't see any bank today in yes, there are different shades of good and bad customer experiences. I mentioned about a couple of banks, but that is also based on, I would say, the physical interaction with a customer. I mean, uh, the uh, the relationship manager might be very uh, customer centric. He or she might be very knowledgeable about the products and services. So that is why I was able to get a good experience. Okay, but I think the kinds of things that we want to do the banks for a retail reset, these are not happening right now. There are so many challenges as we just talked about.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Faisal. I just want to put up a couple of comments, Hafsa, and then I just want to talk about
Ji, ji, sure.
a few things. One was Najib's comment, and look at what we're all saying here, and I think this is eventually for the industry to look at. Today's customers expect personalized service. We're all
Yeah.
saying that, absolutely, and that means understanding each customer as a segment, a unique individual whose personality, lifestyle preferences, needs, and environments are constant. This is all about
Knowing
being
customer.
customer centric, right? Everyone's
Yeah.
saying that and then we've got Adil's just put in a comment, and I just want to highlight that. um, this is how people work together. Again, we used to do floor time with clients, where clients were greeted with a smile and giving assistance, uh, created great rapport, great word of mouth, amazing service. So again, what Adil's also saying is, listen, people want good service. Let's get customer centric. Let's get customer centric. I mean, nobody's talking here about, they want a great mortgage product or a great, yes, they
Exactly.
want a great mortgage product. But what they're saying is that they want you to understand them and their needs. Um, and here I just want to make a point, and that is that, you know, um, retail business, why are we saying customer focus? Um, and we're not saying don't be product focused. You need to be product focused, because eventually the product needs to be built in the way that it satisfies the customer's needs. But first, at least become customer centric to understand what you want to build. Now, having said all of that, retail business is about, good retail businesses build their businesses through repeat sales. Repeat sales will only come to you if the customer is satisfied, right? Satisfaction really means get to know me, get to know my needs, give me the right sort of products and services for my needs, and continue to do that for me, and I will continue to give you my business, right? So repeat sales is what drives the bulk of your business. And if you have good repeat sales, you will generate good referrals as well, because people will spread the word for you, right? So if you take a branch and the branch trade area around it, that's what the focus of every bank should be. Every branch should drive repeat sales, and it should drive referrals, and that's what which gives you, that's what gives you a feel of a good business being run. And a good business in every branch means a good retail business at the head office level. Um, then comes the question of ETB versus NTB. When we start talking about it, what are we talking about here? We're talking about customers who have become or are going to become customers of the bank. Now, when you talk to the banking industry today, Most banks will say NTB is my is my lifeline. So if NTB is your lifeline, and I can tell you that most branches open not more than 36 to 40 accounts, new to bank accounts that give them value. But they're already sitting on anywhere from 250 to 1,000 plus existing customers that can give them much more value from day one that they can be accessed. So they're focusing on NTBs, getting new customers in through the door. But the moment the customers come through the door and are made customers, the attention span is lost. We are not giving them that sort of attention anymore. So, therefore, focus on ETBs as well as NTBs is very critical. But ETBs need to come into the picture in a big way, if I may. Point number three is customers who are satisfied will be the customers who are getting more products and services from you. So again, uh, your high satisfaction leads to a promoter score. So your net promoter scores will be high for customers, or loyalty will be high for customers who have more products and services, who have more product per customer. High PPC per customer means high should have high loyalty in for that customer as well. These are the things that banks should be after, rather than asking the question how much sales has been done at the end of the day. That question can be asked once all of these things are being worked on simultaneously to deliver that sort of result. I mean, you can ask at the end of a game, how many goals did you score? But actually, you have to prepare how you're going to go and score those goals, and what are going to be the formations, and how are you going to pass the ball around in different instances, in different situations, and then how are you going to score the goal? I think that organizations and the retail industry today is asking this, simply asking how many goals are being scored. And I'm not belittling all the work that is being done, by no means, but I think a singular focus on customer centricity is the need of the hour. Um, uh, with with the product question being asked as a result of that singular focus that they put in place. So that's, yeah,
Thank
that's
you.
all.
So,
Yeah.
thank you very much. And we do have some comments, but I believe we've come to the end of our time
There is
together.
one comment by Najim.
Sorry.
Do you think that
Yeah, yeah,
bank staff are empowered enough to equipped with the right tools, answers at their fingertips to provide seamless service and address customers? Afza, this is you are
yeah.
HR, so
Yes. So,
yeah.
so, so, so there are some banks, as I said, I think banks are cognizant of this. I'm not saying they don't know. They are cognizant and they're working towards it. Are they there yet? I don't think so. No, they're not. A lot of things, and again, empower means that that staff doesn't have the power, right? So I think then again it means that are we hiring the right people? That I don't need to empower, if I, you know what I mean. So if I hire a trained, a well groomed, a good branch manager and RM, I will empower them. So why are we shying from empowering or giving the power? Is that maybe we're not really sure that what will happen. So I think it goes back to the capability of people that are being hired with the competencies and the skills. That is one thing. And as far as the tools are concerned, I think tools, maybe they are there. Like as Salman said, that a lot of banks do have CRM and they have some data over there. But how are we really, let's say, institutionalizing this? Is, I don't think that that is really happening. I think we have a long way to go as far as that is concerned. There are some people who are inherently, it's their personality to serve, and you get these moments of truth where you do go into branches or call centers. So all is not doom and gloom. And I can, I have somebody from a call center of a bank, who's called, and I was thinking, why am I so comfortable in speaking to this person? And maybe she had connected with me on some level earlier on, and now I actually tell people that yes, I am speaking to this person, and this is the only person who should call me. So she's become sort of my trusted partner. So there are excuse me, there are people who are there, so I don't want to just say it's all doom and gloom, but I think we need more. We definitely need more. And we need to, be always thinking of that. What is that? How can we delight the customer, not provide service? So that is a given. Wow the customer of those magic moments. So again, in the interest of time, I thank you all for your time, and for the people who've tuned in, and see you soon. And what I would like is that maybe you could give us some topics that you would like us to talk about. So
Yes.
that would be very valuable. So to hear from you, you've been involved, and some of you have followed us all the webinars. So I think we'd like you to just contribute some topics that you think that would add value, and we look forward to seeing you next time. Till then, be safe, be happy, and be kind. God bless.
Thank
Thank you very much. Okay.
thank
Thank you.
Everybody have
thank
a nice
you.
day.
Okay. Khuda
Likewise.
Hafiz.
Bye
Take care.
bye.
Allah Hafiz. Allah
Bye
Hafiz.
bye.
You. Bye.